So, hi and welcome, and today we are going to discuss Module 3. First of all, we'd like to thank you for sending in your challenges, because we have a lot more material right now and we would hate it if we miss opportunities to be of any value to you with our feedback.
Yes.
So, the more the merrier. Thank you very much. We're a bit late, but we try to put in as much effort as we can. Let's start with the first challenge.
Yes, so today we're going to discuss the assignment 3, and we're going to start with the assignment by Simon Spink. And first thing I noticed, Simon, is that the value proposition statement I think is really good. It's really concise, it's really clear. The only thing that I think you can improve is the last bit, making real-time adjustments to bicycle lanes. What are those adjustments? And from the system map you made, it's very clear that it's a navigation app. But that's maybe something that you can improve upon.
We guessed that to make real-time adjustments to bicycle lanes, the word lanes should be route, so your navigation. But if we look at the different aspects you included, you can first see cyclists arrive at city centre, and then there's 2 routes that lead to the second to last step. And what we kind of see is that this is the bit and this bit that the user actually experiences. And here in the back end, you've made clear that there's a lot of steps within the system. It's very good to look at it like 2 different directions, different aspects of it. Yeah. And we were wondering about the time and quality and efficiency input for different use steps.
Yeah. What does that mean? It's not really clear to us. Maybe you can make that more clear with maybe a visual or a little bit of an explanation. I think it's clear to you, and that's the most important thing. You have to. This is a tool primarily, but if you want to show it to others, it's very important to also to think about how they read it.
Yes, but in the end, you'll use this to build your product on, and from that perspective, we also think it's very good that you included within the back end of the product different sensors, different systems, well, probably different digital tools that all combined provide value for the user. So in the use case, you don't really experience it, but it's there and it's really important to name it. Maybe just add how they are interlinked, but we think this is a good start to start iterating on.
Yeah, very well done. Thank you for your assignment. So on to the next one, the second one by Felipe. So Felipe is really clear that he wants to reduce vegetable waste using a service in which he asks a small fee to for consumers to receive vegetables at home for use in the next couple of days.
Yeah, and specifically focused on vegetables that are about to expire.
Yeah.
Which we think is a very good idea.
So Felipe, what you did really well, I think, you started, your value proposition is really in here in the system map. But what you did is you worked your way all the way back from what is food, where does it come from, all the way back to the seed market, which is quite far back. It's really useful tool, I think, to understand all the stakeholders here, all the actors, and to see how they might benefit from your value proposition and how they are interconnected. That's really good.
Yeah, and also what we really see is that you propose 2 scenarios. So this is standard from supermarket wholesale to employee who organizes the product. Yeah. And then you have the normal way of dealing with things, which is just a buyer who buys the fruits and vegetables, and then it ends up in the trash. And then you propose a different scenario, which is basically your value proposition. We very much like that, because seeing the difference, you see also which extra steps you have to incorporate to make it happen and to make sure your value actually reaches your client. What we are missing in your use case diagram is the external factors per use step that define how quality is made per step. And a small example over here is you say that transport from the supermarket to the final client is just time dependent, but you could also say that this is an external company that is working for you, or it's an internal delivery system depends on your choice. Those are very crucial things to know for your product. And we think this is a very good basis. Just make sure that you think about the external factors per step and not just the steps itself, because from that perspective, you can really start creating your service.
Yes. Again, we really like the flow of the system map. Thank you, Felipe, for handing in your assignment. And on to the third one of today by Alonso. What Alonso did really well is to create a really elaborate map. You really zoomed in on different levels. And what Alonso proposed, is to provide digital advertisements in trains based on the schedule and the location of the train. So we have the outdoor advertising company as the main actor in the system. So they receive from clients, like typical brands, advertisement campaigns. And what you did really well is to split that up into where do you present that campaign. In this case, outdoor, digital, and street furniture.
Yeah, and you can very much see that these brands as a whole, they propose the user, in fact. And this use case scenario is very much focused on the back end, because the basic exchange is just brands give their advertisement campaigns to this company, and they give back both improved sales and statistics on the campaign. So if you zoom into the medium Alonso is very much focusing on, it's the digital indoor campaigns on trains. So looking at what's happening in this train itself. But what we see here is that, again, the interaction with the brand is still the same. So what's happening in the back end is now elaborate, but what's happening in the front end of the service is not that clear. And if you zoom in even more, because Alonso did a lot of work, you see here that the way these advertisement campaigns are targeted at specific locations and times of the public transport as the medium where they are shown, you see a lot more interaction. So messages from passengers, advertisement updates, you see a bit of how the system works, so train location and position as a leading guide to where these advertisement campaigns should be shown. However, what we're really missing is the use case. So there's a lot of aspects that go into place, and it's really important to look at those, and Alonso did that very, very well, but it's not that much of a use case scenario, use case diagram. Mm-hmm. So what we really advise is to look at not just what's happening in the back end and how you create value over there, because there's a lot of stakeholders mapped out, but they're not really users. So look at it not from a system perspective, but also from a people perspective. See what's happening to, for example, the population target group, that's this bit, how the impact of this specific targeting of locations of trains for advertisement is adding value through the population target group, through more sales to your brand, for example.
Thank you very much, Alonso. One last remark, I think, for everybody is I think you could really benefit from really looking at the structure of the system. So I have this example from last year, in which you really, the first thing you see is the flow of the system. It's very clear, where do I start, where do I end? And each block, each operation has inputs and outputs, and it's very clear what's happening there. That really helps to understand what is happening, and it also really helps to translate into the next steps, into designing the service or creating the product or whatever you're trying to do. So I think that's really something you all could really benefit from taking a look at.
Yeah, and different aspects are incorporated. For example, security control needs processing time, travel documents, and this is the case of the unaccompanied minors, the escort, so the human factor. And you could do that for every single step, and we think it's a very good example of what can really help you to define your service by incorporating all these different aspects into every single use step. So this is the next level on which you can actually start building your product, your service. Yeah. And of course, it's still an iterative process, so feel free to incorporate more aspects that are important.
So thank you guys for handing all the assignments in. We really love to have your feedback in the forums as well, to see what you think of the SOFA session, of the course in general. And this is next week we're already having the last SOFA session with Professor Hultink from New Product Marketing. You've already met him in the videos this week. If you want to have your assignment checked and have feedback on your assignment, we encourage you to send it in on Monday or before Monday, and we'll publish the SOFA session on Wednesday. Also, in 2 weeks we're going to have the webinar, and we'd really love to hear from you what you would like us to discuss in the webinar. There's a lot of interesting people coming, and please publish your questions on the forum.
Yeah, and they can be about anything. Also, your interest in the area of research, for example. So feel free to ask whatever you want to know, because they are there to help you and to support this area of design and business. Yeah. So we'll see you again next week, and we're curious to hear from you.
Bye.